5 stocks will potentially.
There you go. What was the poem that says, "From whom the bell tolls"? Yeah. Hey, how are you doing, folks? Good to see you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for stopping by and spending an hour that, well, I can tell you, when you spend this hour, it gives you great dividends, so good investment. Damn, you're smart. I'll tell you what, all of you are smart, and you're looking good too, by the way. Let me just say that. I guess it's all this invocation of favor that we do here, and we invoke that favor. We're serious about it. It works, and I want to share this with you because lots of people dealing with challenges. And we're learning that, brother and sister, if you're here, it's sometimes a bitch. I mean, trials and tribulations, they seem to be a many. I want to tell you something. No matter what it is that you believe in, sigils, angels, whatever, it's your faith, ladies and gentlemen. And I speak to you as intelligent beings because all of you are. And it's your faith. I governed my life by this by nearly 5 decades. When I learned this, and I was disadvantaged like the rest of us, some of us, I was like, how the heck did we get here? Yeah, well, there's a merciful God indeed. Nothing is impossible if you can but to believe. All things are possible. As a person believes in their heart, so are they. And I just want to encourage you that if you are facing challenges, and I know some are here. I saw earlier one of our in the community, Beth, saying that things, don't get answered, then it could have a consequence. Beth, I'm here to tell you, dear, it's going to be okay. And what we send to you is encouragement. We don't understand how important encouragement is. If you break that word, it means to enter into a state of consciousness, of courage. And when you have courage, and it emanates from your soul, baby, everyone, seen and unseen, sees it. Because it's when you believe it. You're not a victim here anymore. You have victory, and that is how it's done. And I know I have lived it. And and yeah, when you walk the talk, it's like, yeah. And no one likes to be homeless, but I will say this, and I've experienced homelessness. It sucks, but I also learned a lot from it. I learned a lot about myself. And as it appears by what we're reading, folks, don't be discouraged. Dis means to take away, to distance. So to be discouraged means that you've distanced yourself from courage. We're invoking not only favor, but favor of encouragement. So, Beth, yeah, it's going to be okay. And we have another request. Well, another person in our community here. If you have, and I want to get this right, if you are an attorney, and we got attorneys listening to us, we got judges. I know of a judge that actually listens to us. We've got accountants, we've got, very bright people. There's more of us out there than what we think. And I think for many, They have looked for someone who, well, communicates rationally. That's a good thing. So they're having issues. I think her fiance's in Ireland. And if you know of, there's a form, a 129F form, and they are having a difficult time just trying to get some clarification on a couple of the questions. And the system is so fouled up, they can't. So we just speak favor in that. And speaking of favor, let's real quick, this is what really counts. When you begin to realize that with favor, all these challenges, all these opportunities will always turn out good for you. And if you go into a situation that seems negative, and your immediate reaction is going to be, I'm going to come out on the top. I'm going to be the head, not the tail. I will always be above on this situation. Now, you go into any situation like that, sweetheart, start dancing, man, because things are coming your way. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, all these favors will come upon you if you give voice to them each day. Favor will be with you in the city, and favor will be with you in the country. Favor will heal your body when you speak favor into your body. Favor, boy, if someone's got someone that's, we could do a song on this. Think about this, folks. Favor will set apart your children, your animals, your ground as favored and abundance of joy. Favor will be on your food, water, and pantry. Favor will walk with you when you come in, and favor will walk with you when you go out. Favor will cause your enemies to be at peace with you, and favor will be upon your bonds and storehouses where you keep your valuables to prosper and be in safety. Favor will be upon you and everything you undertake. Everything you set your hands to, favor will cause it to prosper. Favor shall be upon all of your property and shall cause it to last longer and not break. If you're not shelling out for a car breaking down, et cetera, you're ahead. Favor will protect you, your offspring, your relatives, your possessions from calamity. Favor will lead you to good fortune in all things. Favor will cause you to be the head, not the tail, cause you to come out on top, not beneath, and make you always to be above and not below. Favor will cause you to have favor with the elements. Favor will cause you to be favored with the spirit realm, to be favored. Think about that. Already going in, and man, you got that favor glow about you. And they're going to go, all right, there's David. About time, Favor will cause you to be favorable to everyone you meet. They will see you with favor, and favor will seek you out. So, and folks, as we say, it will be created according to your words, and what was said has been done. So listen, folks, we are right there with you. I sometimes I wish that there are things that we could just like that. Not saying that those things don't happen sometimes like that, but one of the things I learned a long time ago, it's very difficult to build your house when you're in the middle of a hurricane or a tornado or a flood. Use any of those allegories to whatever metaphor you want. But it's difficult. And it's in those times of desperation, to be desperate, that is to be discouraged again. And, I'm telling you, you learn this stuff, you learn to believe in yourself. The victories will come. I'll share something with you. Someone needs to hear this, so I'll put it out there. if you're in a situation where it is just really difficult for you and you're finding it very difficult to, you know, keep uplifted, be of good cheer, you know, and you're going, you just don't understand. It's hard, man. It sucks. And yeah, we get that. But what I'm trying to tell you, go and do something for someone else today. And if you can, do it without anyone knowing. Do an act of kindness today. Speak favor in someone's life today. But no, I can't hear that. But this, you need to do something physically for someone else. Make someone happy. Just someone happy. You do that today, and you use that as a seed for whatever the need is. If you're needing finances, do something. Listen, the most valuable thing that you possess, ladies and gentlemen, is your time. It's the most valuable thing you got. So do something. Do something with that time. Sow it into someone else's life. And if you're faithful with this, I think you'll see some things change. So there you go. And Angela was, by the way, the person that was needing. If you know someone that does that, you know, immigration attorney or someone that works in that environment, email me and I'll get it over to her and we'll get those two together. You know, twin flames things, you know, can't separate them. All righty. Tonight on the Steiger Perspective, I'm going to be talking about the coup. Yeah. We saw one this week, didn't we? Woo! Artistfirst.com. Check it out. 10 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Mountain, 7 Pacific, and wherever else you are in the world. Be an honor to have you. And it gets a little different over there. You know, I can speak more freely on issues that, well, that's why I got that platform. Hello, everyone. Good to see everyone. Al, you're a beautiful person. Cheesesteak 22, how are you doing? Wendy and Lori, good to see you. Jenny, New American, all new again. Yeah. Hey, Lois, Cajun Queens Tarots. Sweetheart, how you doing? Lolly Loving, good to see you. Marguerite, peace, like that. Landon and Nina the Mystic, good to see you. Truth Seeker, hello. And Deb and Stella Core, how you doing? And Risk, hello. Ricardo, I got your email, man. Beautiful. Folks, Ricardo is just a beautiful. Let me tell you, I think there's more. Today we're going to get into it right now, into the reading. But, I think many of us folks, I think a lot of us known each other in the past. I don't know how far that past goes because we all have a beginning. Now, not all of us have the same beginning and as we're learning, but yeah. And I just want to say thank you to all the emails. I'm so far behind them. I've been on something that has taken me a lot of attention, but folks, if the sharing these emails, it's, my wife and I were talking about it. It's humbling when you start having people write to you and saying with tears, you know, I'm free from the fear of death. This reading we're doing is melting it away. There's an acceptance. And, you know, I go by this. If something tastes sweet, then, you know, normally it's all right. If something is bitter, you're normally going to stay away from it. One of the things I have to say about this book that we're reading through, It's a gentle book. It's a kind book. I don't feel any condemnation, no condemning. In a lot of ways, and you have to weigh everything. We all have our core, and free thinkers, we listen. We don't try to judge it based upon our biases. We try to take from it, is there truth in here? Does the truth resonate? And, it's not for everybody. And I guess it's not meant to be. But regardless, of what your beliefs are or not, it seems like we're all going to end up for the same goal. We all want the same thing. Some say, well, we don't believe that, there's anything after this. I had someone write me on this, and they was in the comment section, and, they don't take a spiritual approach, but yet, their acts of kindness exceed most religious people that I have known. Now, when someone does that and says, well, I don't have a spiritual belief, I think that when I finish here, it's over, baby. Yet, it cannot be denied that their actions, in fact, validate the very thing that we're studying. Maybe, and I don't know, you have to look at all things from all different angles, but maybe people who don't profess a desire for the spiritual, but have attributes of kindness, sacrifice, love, non-selfishness, maybe they're here on a special mission. Think about that. All right, I've jabbered enough here. Let's get right into where we left off yesterday. I got to tell you, this is some cool stuff. So let's get right into it. We left on reincarnation, and it says, how can a soul that has not reached perfection during the corporeal life achieve purification? Answer, by experiencing the trial of a new existence. How does the soul carry out this new existence? Is it through the transformation as a spirit? The soul undergoes a transformation when it purifies itself. For this transformation to happen, it needs to experience the trial of corporeal life. Does the soul have multiple corporeal lives? Yes. We all have many lives. Those who say any different want you to stay ignorant of them. That's interesting, isn't it? It is amazing the effort that has been put upon the world to distance itself from the spiritual realm. It, for me, in the last couple of years, has been very puzzling. Why is that? I mean, I came out of a religious construct that it was all about communicating with the spiritual realm. I mean, isn't that what you're doing when you're praying to God? Yeah, you are. So why is it, again, we ask this question? Well, now I know. All right, question. This statement implies that the soul, after leaving one body, inhabits another. In other words, it reincarnates itself. Is this correct? Obviously, the answer. What is the purpose of reincarnation? Atonement and the progressive betterment of humankind. Without this, where would its justice lie? Good question. Is there a limited number of corporeal lives, or does a spirit continue to reincarnate itself forever? With each new existence, a spirit takes a step forward in the path of progress. When it sheds all its impurities, the spirit no longer needs the trials of corporeal life. Is the number of incarnations the same for all spirits? No. A person who advances quickly is spared many trials. However, these successive incarnations are always numerous because progress is almost infinite. What does the spirit become after its final incarnation? A perfectly happy spirit, a pure spirit. Dancing in the street, baby. All right, justice of reincarnation. What is the basis of reincarnation? Reincarnation is based on God's justice and revelation. An affectionate father, as we have already explained, always grants his children the opportunity to redeem themselves, no matter how rebellious they may be. Reason alone dictates that it would be unfair to inflict eternal misery on those who have not had the opportunity to improve themselves. Aren't we all God's children? Injustice, merciless hatred, and unrelenting punishments are only found in the worlds of selfish people. Wow. Take it for what it is, baby. That's all I got to say. They continue. All spirits strive for perfection, and God provides them this opportunity through the trials of corporeal life. Divine justice compels them to use their new existence to do what they were not able to do or complete in a prior trial. It would not be consistent with God's justice or goodness to condemn to eternal suffering those who have encountered obstacles to their improvement, obstacles that may have resulted from circumstances beyond their control, and thus are independent of their will. If the fate of humankind were conclusively determined after death, God would not have weighed the actions of all objectively and according to the same criteria. So kind of gets it right there. How can you judge me? How can I judge you? The only thing I can judge you when I do judge, and of course we want to get away from that, is always going to be based on my reflection of self. All bigots inside are usually saying that they're repulsed by the very thing that they are. Racist, haters. And those that get into that, well, they got some learning to do. Reincarnation, which asserts that people have many successive lives, is the only theory that satisfies the idea that we form of God's justice with regard to those who are placed in morally inferior conditions. Yeah. If a person is born in a cesspool, let's say under a repressive regime, a government, how can that person's life be judged on a standard to another person who grew up in let's say a country where freedom was upheld at all cost? You can't. And I don't think neither does God. It is only one that can explain the future and give us hope, because it offers us a way to make amends for our errors through new trials. This concept is indicated by reason and taught by the spirits. People who are aware of their own inferiority obtain reassuring hope from the concept of reincarnation. If they believe in God's justice, they cannot reasonably hope to be immediately placed on the same level as those who have made a better use of life. However, the knowledge that they will not be barred from supreme happiness forever based on this inferiority, and the fact that they will be able to reach this happiness through new efforts, resuscitates their courage and replenishes their energy. Now, I thought that was really interesting, using that word, resuscitates. Resuscitate means to bring back alive. That's what you do. When you resuscitate a person, it means that they've had an NDE. And then look at this. It replenishes their energy. Very interesting. You have to really get in between all this and kind of just get yourself in there. But when you see this, it implies a lot. It tells me that people who are very depressed, people who have lost the vitality for life, that can be changed. in an instant. All right, we go on. Who does not, at the end of their career, laments that an experience was acquired too late to be of actual use. This is not a loss, for they profit from it in a new corporeal life. This is an interesting section. Incarnation on different worlds. Are all our different corporeal existences lived on Earth? No, not at all of them. There are many different worlds on which we may live our lives. This world is neither the first nor the last, but it is definitely one of the most material and furthest removed from perfection. I keep on thinking about all the other books we've read here, Alien Interview, Ariel said that, we so far away, they don't even know we exist, as far as where perfection is concerned. Wow. All right. Does the soul pass from one world to another for each new life, or can multiple lives be in the same world? That's a good question. Answer: a soul may live in the same world many times if it is not ready to move onto a higher one. So we can live on Earth several times? Absolutely. Can we come back after living on other worlds? Of course. You may have already lived elsewhere and on Earth. How many of us have had those thoughts before that you've said, I don't belong here? This is not where I belong. Now, this may be an indicator why many of us have that deep feeling, we don't belong here, man. And we're all going, holy crap, had no idea. Yeah. All right. Must we live on Earth again? No, but if you do not advance, you could end up on a world that not only is not better than this one, it could be worse. Okay. Well, maybe some of the writers, the visionaries, the seers that have seen other worlds, how they give us the depiction of hell. Maybe those are just merely representations of other worlds. I mean, this one, if you think about this, worse than Earth. Well, then we ought to say we got it good here then, All right. Is there any sort of advantage in coming back to Earth? There is no special advantage unless it is to fulfill a mission. In that case, the spirit advances wherever it may be. Would we be happier to remain a spirit? No, because we would remain stationary and we want to get closer to God. Can spirits come to this world for the first time after they incarnate in other worlds? Yes, just as you may go to others. All the worlds are in, get this, solidarity. What is not accomplished in one is completed in another. Wow. I'm telling you what, you could write some great scripts from this. I mean, wow. So, there are people who are on Earth for the first time, many, and at various degrees. Is there any sign marking spirits who are here for the first time? Get this answer. This would not be of any use to you. Yeah. Is that a yes? Is that a no? You know what that is? That's a slapdown. You ain't smart enough to even begin to understand. All right. To arrive at perfection and supreme happiness, the ultimate goal of humankind, does a spirit need to pass through all the worlds that exist in the universe? This answer is interesting. No. There are many worlds of the same degree where a spirit would learn nothing new. That's interesting. You could really go on to this. I mean, it shows that emotions, apparently the five physical senses, seems to be something that is universal. It would seem. A question: how then can we explain multiple lives in the same world? A person may find him or herself in very different situations each time, which provide the opportunity for growth and experience. You know, I've said this, folks, all before we ever got into this. What we're here for is the experience. Boy, who had any idea? Can spirits live in a world that is inferior to the one in which they have already lived? That's a good question. Yes. Oh, man. When fulfilling a mission to advance progress, in this case, they gladly accept the trials of such an existence because these provide them with a means to advance. I guess I can see that. I mean, if God was to say, all right, Al, I have a mission for you. You have advanced, you're doing great, but I need you to go back to what would be the equivalent of a savage world, you know, who knows? Maybe the Dark Ages, who knows? And for doing that, you're going to be able to move ahead X amount ahead. Would you do it? Yeah, I'd do it in a second. I mean, we're not dumb. I mean, it's kind of like, duh. Anyway, can this also occur as a means of atonement? Can God send a defiant spirits to lower worlds? Answer: spirits may remain stationary, but they never regress. Their atonement is not advancing, and by having to restart their squandered lives under the conditions best suited to their nature. Wow. Who is forced to restart the same existence? Anyone who fails to fulfill a mission or endure a trial. Have all the beings that inhabited a given world arrived at the same degree of perfection? No. Just as on Earth, some are more advanced while others are less advanced. Do spirits retain the intelligence that they possessed in one world when moving on to another? Answer: of course. Intelligence is never lost. They may not have the same means of manifesting it, which depends both on their superiority and on the quality of the body they will assume. Do the beings that inhabit other worlds have body like ours? Of course they have bodies. A spirit must be clothed in matter to act upon matter. This envelope is more or less material according to the purity of each spirit. As these levels of purity determine the different worlds through which they will be able to pass. There are many dwelling places in our Father's house, and therefore many degrees among those dwellings. Some know this and are cognizant of this fact, while on earth others are not. Welcome to the club, my friends. You don't realize what's, I think, really going on here. I think this is really kind of the orientation day. You know, it's like, man, okay. Can we know precisely the physical and moral state of different worlds? As spirits, we can only make revelations according to your degree, meaning that we cannot reveal these things to everyone because some are not equipped to comprehend such revelations and would be confused by them. As a spirit is purified, the body that clothes it also approaches the spiritual nature. Being less dense, it no longer crawls on the ground. Its physical needs are more refined, and it is no longer forced to destroy other beings to feed itself. At this stage of spiritual development, the spirit enjoys more freedom and possesses methods of perception that are unknown to us. It can see with its eyes what we only see in thought. A spirit's level of purification determines the moral excellence of the corporeal beings in which they are incarnated. The animal passions become weaker, and selfishness gives way to the sense of brotherhood. In higher worlds, wars do not exist. There is no hatred or conflict because they are pointless. No one would even dream of doing harm to their fellow beings. Their intuitive foresight and security resulting from a conscience free of remorse allow them to face death without apprehension. They look upon it without fear and as a simple transformation. The length of a lifetime is different in different worlds, appears to be proportionate to the moral and physical superiority of each world, and this is perfectly rational. The less material the body, the less subject it is to the torments that disturb corporeal life. The purer the spirit, the less subject it is to the passions that undermine it. This correspondence between moral and physical circumstances is proof of God's compassion, who aims to reduce suffering. Wow, that was heavy. Does the spirit go through an infancy when passing from one world to another? Infancy is a necessary transition everywhere. However, it is not as underdeveloped in all worlds as yours. Does a spirit choose the new world it will inhabit? Not always, but requests can be made that may be granted if the spirit has earned it. Worlds can only be accessed by spirits according to the degree of their elevation. This has got some heavy stuff right there. I mean, you want to talk about what that's saying. I mean, you can throw the Anunnaki in there. You can throw every other theory and idea, because what it's saying is at the base level of humanity means apparently those of a higher degree, whether they be advanced, we can't comprehend that. Interesting. If a spirit makes no request, what determines the world in which it will be reincarnated? The degree of its elevation. Is the physical and moral state of living beings on every globe always the same? No. Worlds are also subject to the laws of progress. Like yours, all have started out by being inferior, and the earth will undergo a transformation similar to what has occurred on countless other worlds. Get this, folks. It will become an earthly paradise when the people who inhabit it have become good. That's a hell of an indictment against the current state of humanity, folks. The human beings that currently populate the earth will gradually disappear and will be succeeded by increasingly perfect races. These transformed races will replace the current human race, as the latter succeeded others that were even more rudimentary. Sapiens, folks, wiped out the other 6 that were here. This dawned on me. So if that happened to Neanderthals, Cro-Magnus, the Denisons, we can go back. The earth was transformed at the end of the removal of those human beings that were replaced with the next ones. That world represented those next races accordingly. Think about this, folks. Are there worlds where the spirit, having ceased to inhabit a material body, only has the paraspirit as an envelope? Yes. And this envelope becomes so ethereal that for you, it is as if it did not exist. This is the state of pure spirit. So they're saying there's a literal planets. Think about that. Is that where we get the concept of heaven? The new Jerusalem coming down? It seems as though that statement implies that there is no clear line between the state of the final incarnations and that of a pure spirit. No, this differentiation does not exist. However, as the difference between them continues to diminish, they blur into one another just as darkness of night fades into dawn. Is the perispirit the same in every world? No, it is more or less ethereal. In passing from one world to another, a spirit dons the matter of each, changing its envelope at the speed of lightning. Do pure spirits inhabit special worlds, or are they in universal space without being attached to any specific planet? Pure spirits inhabit specific worlds, but they are not confined to them as people are on earth. They possess the power, the highest power, of instantaneous movement. The progressive transmigration. Does a spirit enjoy all of its faculties from its creation? No. As in the case of human beings, spirits experience infancy. At birth, they only have an instinctive existence and scarcely possess any cognizance of themselves or their actions. Their intelligence develops gradually. What is the state of the soul at its first incarnation? Equivalent to human infancy. Its intelligence is only beginning to bloom. It may be said to be testing out life. Wow, I can only imagine what that's saying. Are the souls of savages in a state of infancy? Relative infancy, but they have already experienced some development because they have passions. Are passions a sign of development? Development, yes, but not of perfection. They are a sign of activity and an awareness of self. It is the embryonic state of the soul. Intelligence and vitality exist only as seeds. A spirit goes through successive phases similar to those of the corporeal life. It develops slowly from an embryo to infancy and reaches adulthood through a succession of periods destined to reach perfection. The main difference between these two lives is that spirits are not subject to weakness or deterioration. The life of a spirit, while having a beginning, has no end. It takes a vast span of time according to our perception of it, in passing from infancy to mature development. And this progression is completed by passing through various worlds. The spirit life is a sequence of corporeal lives, each providing an opportunity for progress. These lives are made up of days, each an opportunity to acquire experience and knowledge. However, just as a person may have unproductive days, a spirit may have a futile corporeal existence because it has failed to properly leverage it. By leading a perfect life now, could we skip all the degrees and become a pure spirit without passing through the intermediate levels? No, because what human beings believe to be perfection is actually quite far from it. Some qualities exist that are unknown to them, and in the current state, they have no means of comprehending them. They may be as perfect as humanly possible on earth, but still far from absolute perfection. A child, no matter how bright or talented it may be, must go through youth to reach adulthood, and a patient must recuperate before making a complete recovery. Additionally, a spirit must advance both intellectually and morally. If it has advanced in only one of these directions, it must match this development in the other to reach the top of the ladder. The more a person advances in the present life, the shorter and less painful his or her future trials will be in later existences. Huh. I guess now we know where the no pain, no gain come from, right? Can people assure themselves a future existence with less bitterness than their present life? Yes, of course. They can shorten the length and difficulties of the road. Only the person who neglects advancement remains stagnant. Can individuals fall to a lower point than the one they have already reached in new lives? In terms of social position, yes. As a spirit, no. Can the soul of a good person inhabit the body of a scoundrel when reincarnated? I love that word, scoundrel. No, because the spirit cannot regress. Can the soul of a wicked person become that of a good one? Yes, if he or she repents. It's a reward. Spirit's advancement is always progressive and never regressive. They gradually rise in the spirit hierarchy and never regress from the point at which they have arrived. Throughout their different corporeal lives, they may be downgraded as human beings, but not as spirits. Therefore, the soul of a person who has reached the peak of material power may, in subsequent life, be a modest artisan, or vice versa, because positions among individuals are frequently the inverse of the elevation of their morality. Herod was a king, Jesus was a carpenter. Could the ability to improve in a future existence result in some people leading immoral lives when they know that they are always able to make amends at some point in time? Wow. Such a premise indicates no real belief in anything, and the idea of eternal punishment could not affect such an individual's anyway, because their reason would reject it and lead to skepticism and everything. Folks, grab a hold of what just was said there. Your next reality is going to be a lot of what you projected to be. I mean, if you placed me in hell, I'd go, wait a minute, this is a con. Management is in collusion with the opposition. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If only reason guided people, there would not be so many skeptics. An imperfect spirit might reason this way during physical life, but once freed from the shackles of the material body, they have a dramatically different way of thinking, I guess. They realize that they made a great error, and this causes them to adopt an opposite sense in their next existence. This is how progress is accomplished and why some are more advanced than others. Some people have already had the experiences that others have yet to go through, acquiring them little by little, and each spirit is responsible for their own progress or delaying it indefinitely. Those who hold an inferior position want to change it as soon as possible. In addition, those who know that the trials and tribulations of the present life are the consequences of their own imperfection seek any means possible to ensure a new existence that is less painful. This attitude will much more effectively keep them away from a bad path than the threat of eternal fire, which they do not believe in anyway. I mean, folks, if people really believed in hell, look at Washington. Look at how greed manifests. People don't believe in hell. Because if they did, they certainly are either stupid or just, I don't know. Yeah, I said stupid. But seriously, I mean, at some point, we've got to begin to change this whole matrix. This is a question. Since spirits can only improve by experiencing the tribulations of physical existence, does physical life equate to a type of sieve or filter through which the being of the spirit world must pass to reach perfection? Precisely. They improve themselves through these trials by avoiding wrongdoing and practicing the good. It is only through many successive incarnations or purifications, and after a longer or shorter lapse of time, that they succeed in reaching their goal in accordance with their efforts. You know, as I was just reading that, it kind of explains what there's so much ambiguity as to what the afterlife is. What is it? A room? Is it a place, a city, a world? What is it? It's hard for us to define. And I think this is helping us to see this. I still can't figure out where we are in between all this, but I think we'll get there. Does the body influence the spirit to improve, or does the spirit influence the body? Your spirit is everything, and your body is nothing but a decaying envelope. That is all. Get it? There is a material comparison of the purification of the soul in the juice of the vine. It contains the liquid called the spirit, or alcohol, but it is weakened by numerous foreign elements that change its nature. It requires several distillations to reach absolute purity, each of which remove a fraction of its impurities. The still is the body into which it must enter for purification. And the foreign elements are the perispirit, which gradually purifies itself as the spirit approaches perfection. This is an interesting section, the fate of children after death. What are the spirit of children who die as infants? Are the spirits of children who die as infants as advanced as those of adults? Sometimes much more, for they may have previously lived longer and acquired more experience, especially if they have made progress. Can the spirit of a child be more advanced than that of his or her father? This happens very frequently. Do you not often see it in your world? In the case of a child who has died very young without ever having the opportunity to do wrong, is his or her spirit a higher spirit? If the child has not had the opportunity to do wrong, it has not had the opportunity to do anything good either. And God does not exempt the child from the trials that he and or she must undergo. If the child is pure, it is not because it is a child, but because it is more advanced. Why is life often cut short in childhood? The short-lived life of a child may be complemented to a previous existence interrupted before its intended end. In addition, the child's death is often a trial or atonement for their parents. Wow. What happens to the spirit of a child who dies young? It restarts a new existence. If a human being has only one existence, and his or her future is determined for all eternity after this one existence, how could half the human race that dies in infancy merit eternal happiness without putting forth any effort? What exempts them from the often painful conditions of progress inflicted on others? This would not be consistent with God's justice. Reincarnation acts as the most supreme justice equally distributed to all. The possibilities of the future are open to all without any exception or preference being given to any. Those who are the last to arrive have only themselves to blame. Each person must merit happiness by his or her own actions and bear the consequences for their wrongdoing. Viewing childhood as a normal state of innocence is completely irrational. Do we not see children who display wicked instincts even at an age when even education could not yet have influenced them? Many seem to be crafty, dishonest, devious, and even display the instincts of theft and murder from birth, despite the good examples surrounding them. Criminal law absolves them from their wrongs, asserting that they have acted without judgment, which is correct because their actions are instinctive rather than the product of deliberate intent. However, from where do these different instincts of children of the same age, raised under the same conditions, and subjected to the same influence originate? If not from the inferiority of the spirit, where does this mature perversity come from, since education has played no role? Those who are vicious have a spirit that has made less progress, and each suffers the consequences, not of their actions as a child, but as the result of wrongful actions in prior lives. The law is the same for everyone, and no one can escape God's justice. Gender of spirits. Get as far as we can on this. Do the spirits have a gender? Not as you comprehend it, because gender depends on the physical makeup. Love and sympathy exist among them, but founded on a similarity of sentiments. Can a spirit that has animated the body of a man animate the body of a woman in a new existence, and vice versa? Yes, the same spirit can animate both male and female bodies. Wow. My mind's going in a lot of different places. All right. Does a spirit, when in the spirit world, prefer to be incarnated as a man or as a woman? Spirits are indifferent in this regard, which is always decided according to the trials that they must undergo. Spirits incarnate themselves as men or women because they have no gender, and as it is necessary for them to develop in every direction, both sexes, as well as every variety of social position, provided them with special trials and duties, and with the opportunity of acquiring experience. A spirit who always incarnates as a man would only possess the experience and knowledge of men. Wow. Okay. If I didn't have the show tonight, I would keep on, but I don't know if you believe it or not. Again, you determine your own path, but it makes total sense to me. It really does when you think about it. The fact that it would have to be that way. If the goal is perfection, which I would equate being, considered a god, right? And maybe we're all gods in training. I haven't seen that question asked. I intend to probably do ask them that, because it would seem that would be the only goal that could be acceptable in this. I mean, you think about it, to be a god would have to be able to measure all of existences, all experiences. Fascinating. I love this. I hope you have as well. This is as far out stuff, folks. I know some don't, but that's okay. It's all right. We welcome everyone here. And it's good that everyone has a different varying opinion and outlook. Sometimes we can learn the most from those that we see to be the hardest to accept. And maybe that's the whole purpose of being a god. You can't be a god unless you've experienced it all. And if in fact we are virtually creatures, beings that have no end, it's hard for us to comprehend that. But I'm beginning to see a glimpse of it. Of course, there would have to be reincarnation. And I am not one that ever subscribed to it. Anyway. All right, folks, I'll see you tonight over at theartistfirst.com. Get a chance, come over and visit me. If not, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll continue to learn this. This is just cool stuff. All right, folks, appreciate it. Thank you. Favor is upon you. It's going to be okay. All right. Bye-bye.